What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the show. Wow, my voice gave out. We're good though. I did it again. Look, something is happening crazy. What? I can't speak. We're going to keep it though, because you know what? This is a one-cut show. We don't do edits. We just let it flow. I don't know what just happened right there, but here we are. And there's a lot of crazy stuff going on in crypto. We're talking about Jack Dorsey, what he just said, Ripple's math. It doesn't lie. The whale games, they begin. ETFs, number two is coming out, 3 and 4 on Monday. And we finally got confirmation of the 5th one coming as well. I'll talk about that. We still got another move up on XRP as well. So without further ado, sit back, relax. Let's jump into it. Bitcoin coming in at $91,695. ETH coming in at $3,026, and XRP, yeah, buddy, was coming in at $2.12. Total cryptocurrency market cap 3.12 trillion. As your fear and greed, boy oh boy, it is extreme fear. Hopefully you're not afraid. And your RSI is sitting at pretty close to it, oversold territory at 45. So we get over to this. We're going to kick it off with this. Jack Dorsey, he didn't just mention a 600 tax-free threshold for Bitcoin. He practically waved a giant neon sign saying, hey, we're about to normalize Bitcoin as everyday money. And the wildest thing about this, nobody blinked. That's how early you are, folks, because think about it. Look, Jack Dorsey isn't out here tossing this out for fun. He's a payments guy at core, right? Cash App, Square, Block. The man lives and breathes financial rails. If he's hitting that Bitcoin transaction should be tax-free under $600, he's not dreaming. He is preparing. He knows what's coming. The US regulatory machine doesn't just suddenly warm up to something unless someone upstairs whispers the green light. This almost feels like an insider memo leaked into the public on purpose, right? And look, whether you see Bitcoin as digital gold, digital cash, one thing is undeniable. They are trying to make it spendable. The narrative is shifting from buying hold to use it, move it, and then integrate it, which moves us over to this. No one wants to talk about this. No one wants to look at this because it makes people uncomfortable. But Rip doesn't get uncomfortable. If Ripple moves, just think about this for a second. If Ripple moves 500 million per day, the speed they're aiming for once the institutional corridors, XRP's available liquid supply would be all consumed in about 3 months. 3 months, not 3 years, 3 months. That isn't hopium, folks. That is wishful thinking. That is your raw math. XRP is the only major digital asset designed from day one to actually move value. Not vibes, but value. It has a high throughput, right? We know about the fast settlement. We know it costs pretty much pennies on a dollar. This was literally engineered to be the bloodstream of global liquidity. It's the better Bitcoin. And the moment that your banks flip the switch and start running real corridors across the ledger itself, everyone's going to discover why supply shock that we talk about here, it isn't a meme. It is coming at some point, whether that point be in 2026 or 2028, who knows? But it is coming. And when you look at the ETFs and how much supply that they are scooping up from the over-the-counter desk, from the market makers, we're going to run into a supply shock scenario. When you go from 5 ETFs and you count the volume, and then you go to 10 ETFs and you count the volume, then you multiply that when you get to 15 to 20, folks, it starts to get absolutely insane. Now let's talk about the whale games. Once the whale games have began. Over 190 million XRP just moved out of whale wallets in the last 48 hours. Now, people who don't understand this market, they instantly panic. And you know what their thoughts are instantly? Ripple's dumping XRP. The whales are selling it. It's bearish. Nah, that's not it, man. Well, it's not even close to being it. This is how smart money rotates before a new liquidity regime. Whales don't sell into weakness. Whales repossession before the headlines drop. So when you see 9 figures of XRP being transferred right before you get ETF filings, right before you get regulatory wins, and right before your institutional corridor starts spinning up, that isn't fear, folks. That is what you call preparation. You don't move 190 million XRP or of anything unless you know that something is coming and you're positioning where you want to be when this thing hits. Which brings us over to this. So let's recap all the ETFs that we know about. Canary already live. Bitwise launching today. Franklin Templeton on Monday. That will be number 3. Grayscale on Monday as well. That will be number 4. And you got 21 shares who just filed their Form 8A, which could be launching, I don't know, as early as the first week of December. That will be your 5 ETFs. You also got Wisdom Tree that's hanging out there in CoinShares. I told you the countdown starts once you get your 5th one up and running. In December, the countdown will start. Give it 30 to 60 days after that. 30 to 60 days to see price appreciation from these ETFs on the asset itself, folks. So 21 shares is going to be listed with the CBOE BZX, another regulated U.S. exchange, another institutional U.S. on-ramp. All of a sudden, this XRP ETF narrative, it's not just speculation now, is it? It's a race. BlackRock's not going to sit on the sidelines. I will tell you that right now. BlackRock is not going to sit on the sidelines. Fidelity, they will not sit on the sidelines either. Once one opens the doors, the rest will sprint through. And I said it last night on the live stream, right? I said, because I was asked the question, what is stopping BlackRock from getting in and launching an XRP ETF? And the answer was simple. Nothing's stopping them. But I think they're waiting for Franklin Templeton, a $1.5 trillion monster, to launch theirs on Monday. So they can actually see, because you have to understand, BlackRock, Frankie T, Fidelity, Goldman, they all probably have the same client base, right? So what they're doing, in my humbled opinion here, is BlackRock is waiting for Frankie T. They're going to see what volume they could get, what demand they're going to get, if there's actual interest in it, which we know there is. But they're playing it cool. They're sitting back. And once they see that all of those check boxes are checked in a massive way, they're going to jump in. Fidelity's going to jump in. They're all going to jump in. It is all coming, folks. Now, we move over to this. We showed this to you in the first video. You know, Reese Merrick, we showed you his clip in the first video where he showed you the dominoes were falling. Now we see this right here. 7 years ago, let's do a little flashback. You might not have been around. I know I was, been around for 8 years, but 7 years ago, big banks out there, they would not say the word crypto without sweating. They treated blockchain like it was radioactive material, right? And now, well, think about it and look at this picture. Who is Ripple on stage with? This was at Swell. That is Fidelity, that's Franklin Templeton, and that's Citi. The giants of global finance openly discussing how they are deploying on-chain products. That's not growth. That is a massive freaking shift. When the same institutions that once slammed the door in crypto's face are now building the new rails on chain, you're not bullish enough. Nobody is. The old system is already integrating with the new one. All they did was they just stopped asking people for permission. That's it. Then we get this from Bank XRP. Listen up. This is the CFTC commissioner who was at Ripple's office not too long ago. She just gave U.S. banks the green light to go full throttle into tokenized assets and spot crypto services.
Prohibited banks from engaging in digital asset activities without getting a letter of non-objection from the bank regulators. The infamous SAB 121, which I think the SEC forgot that banks are public companies and that banks custody things. So, clearly getting that rescinded by acting chairman Uyeda on the second day, I think, in office was huge. So banks can do these activities. Of course, JP Morgan has been very active in the digital asset space, as has BNY, as has Citi and all the other banks. It's been quiet. Now I think you're going to be able to see them really accelerate. So all of these projects that everybody's been working on since 2016, now we're going to start seeing more deployment, more volume, and so on and so forth. And a lot of it's been done, frankly, through portfolio companies and strategic equity investments. And so you'll see that deployment. But it's really the bank regulators and making sure, again, that the bank regulators are comfortable with the banks, with their risk governance frameworks, and then a lot's going to start to happen.
This is a major US regulator saying, yup, the rails are ready, folks. It is time to send it. That means tokenized treasuries, tokenized real estate, tokenization of absolutely everything. And guess which rails can move all of that without choking? Yeah, exactly. The XRP ledger could. That was the last piece of the puzzle, folks. Look, zoom out for a second. Connect the dots. Dorsey's normalizing Bitcoin spending, Ripple supply math are reaching critical mass. Yo, whales, they are all positioning. And the XRP ETF wave, the banks flipping bullish on-chain and US regulators open the gate. This isn't random. It's not a coincidence. It is coordination. We're watching the financial system quietly migrate onto the blockchain before the crowd realizes what's happening. And when they wake up, well, unfortunately, it's going to be too late. Stay ready, stay early, and stay bullish because the next few months, they're going to be absolutely wild.